I'm Patty Calamari. I'm 49 years old. I live in Houston, Texas. I was diagnosed with mesothelioma in February 2010. It was shocking. I didn't know how this could be me, how I could possibly have cancer. And I was very lucky to be accepted as a patient at MD Anderson. Initially, after my diagnosis, I was told that I could be a candidate for having a radical surgery called EPP. They discovered that the cancer had moved into my abdomen, so that took me off the list. And I was feeling very gloomy, thinking that that was the only chance that I had to survive, or even my lifespan was going to be like 8 months. I mean, I just figured I had no hope. My symptoms were probably typical of many of the mesothelioma patients. I was experiencing extreme fatigue, and I was having a difficult time breathing, especially walking up and down stairs. And I've always been very athletic, and I was finding it increasingly difficult to climb up a flight of stairs. I was at my brother's house, and I could barely get up one tiny flight of stairs, and I knew something wasn't right, and I went to my general practitioner, who diagnosed me with walking pneumonia. And I went to have a chest x-ray, and after the completion of the chest x-ray, it showed that I had one lung that was working perfectly, and my other lung had completely compressed, so it basically collapsed. And I had a pleural effusion, and there was so much fluid in my chest that they were only able to extract 2.5 liters. I went back two or 3 days later, they extracted another 2.5 liters. And they sent my fluid off for examination, and this was at another hospital, and there was no indication that there was cancer. Everything looked okay, but a CT scan was recommended. And within 3 weeks, I felt once again the symptoms of that heaviness. I couldn't get up the stairs. And I went to another doctor who ordered a pleural effusion, and after the testing of the fluid, it showed that I had mesothelioma cells. A CT scan revealed that there was a mass in the pleura of my left lung, and there it began. Well, I found out over the phone that I was diagnosed with mesothelioma, and I was by myself, and I was on my way to work. So it was pretty devastating, and I turned my car around and I canceled my afternoon tutorials, and I called whoever answered the phone. I called my boyfriend first, and then I just started calling my family members, and everybody was devastated. When I was diagnosed, I have one son that lives in New York, and I spoke to him on the phone, and of course he was very upset and very sad, but one of the first things he said was, "You're going to be okay. This is going to be fine." The physician who told me my fabulous news said, "You know, it's malignant, inoperable mesothelioma," and he said to me, "I'm so sorry." Well, when you hear "I'm so sorry," your mind doesn't go to like, "Oh, this is going to be okay." You immediately say, "Oh, I'm dead." And then I cried and I said, "I'm not ready to die. You know, I'm just not ready. I'm too young. I'm not going to do this, and I'm going to fight this." But it seemed at the time, when I looked on the internet that night, it was pretty bleak. News was not very good. And I did happen to, he was the doctor that I spoke to, set up an appointment with an oncologist at a different hospital, who told me basically I had 222 days to live. I was very fortunate to get into the MD Anderson program. After Dr. Proportion determined that I was not a candidate for a radical surgery, he introduced me to Dr. So, and Dr. So introduced me to Dr. Jeter, who was my radiologist. And the women, they were amazing. They came in and they were the dynamic duo. They came in and they changed the energy on everything. I had a very sad feeling that I wasn't going to live, and they were just like, we're going to take care of this. Dr. So has me ready. I qualified for a clinical trial, and I'm going to start that next week. In this process, I know that I'm going to survive. I know that I am going to defy any statistical research there is out there. As Dr. So told me when I initially met her, that I'm not a statistic. I don't fall in the statistical boundary, and I don't think anybody really does. I do not believe that I'm going to die in 2 years or 8 months. I think I'll be a grandmother. I think I'll live to be an old, happy woman. And I'm just going to have to stay on top of this. And I'm willing to do the work in order to have a fantastic life.